Start by coming to a seated position on your mat. Inhale your shoulders up by your ears and exhale, bring them back and down. Flip your palms so they're facing the ceiling on your knees. Draw your belly button to your spine just a little bit, reducing that curve in your low back, and draw your neck back, reducing the curve in your neck, aligning your spine. Begin breathing through your nose. See if you can tone slightly at the back of the throat, making your breath audible, almost like a closed mouth sigh. And let your belly expand onto your lap, maintaining the engagement of your spine. Today's class is going to be a strength training class, which means we're going to do a lot of sweating today and do a lot of physical work. Sometimes in life, motivation follows action. This is statistically proven. So where in your life do you need to take action? Where would you like to take action? Where would you like to see some change? Just for today, on your mats, let this be a practice for life. What we put work into, we receive bountiful abundance from. When we practice yoga, we put the work into ourselves, into our physical bodies, into our minds, and into our spirits. Bring your palms together at heart center, press into your palms, and as you do, press your shoulder blades onto your back, opening up your heart. Take a moment to bow into your heart space and thank yourself for being here today. Tuck your toes under and begin to pedal out your hands, finding the four corners of your palms rooting into the mat. The inner lining of your palm should be reaching about the outer edge of your shoulders, and see if you can spin your elbows to the side of the room without actually changing your hands. We're going to begin our warm-up with our cat-cow, but we're going to dive into each pose. So can you bend your elbows to the side, scoop and inhale, lift your sitting bones, lift your gaze. Exhale, scoop back, curve your spine towards the ceiling. Exhale, inhale, scoop forward. This is your cow, and exhale, scoop back. This is your cat. Continue pulsing with your breath, warming up the spine, and beginning to activate our upper body as our arms help push us and swing us into these poses. The next time you exhale, inhale to a neutral spine. Lift your knees just 1 inch off the ground. Activate your core. Make sure you're plugged in through the four corners of your hands and your weight is not dumping to the outer edge of your hands. And you can lower your knees to the earth. Lift your knees another inch. Breathe here. And then lower them down. We're going to do this 2 more times. Press into your hands, lift your knees. 3 breaths. And lower your knees. Take a breath. Find your adjustment in your hands if you need to. And then lift your knees. And lower them down. Beautiful. We're just going to take a moment to pay attention to our hands and wrists. So I'm going to point this down so you can see them more. In your tabletop position, find strength in your core so not too much weight is in your hands. Meaning if you lift up a little bit, you can more or less stay in your tabletop position. And just begin to, so like I said, not too much weight in your hands. Begin to rock to the inner edge, lifting the pinky side of your palm. And then to the outer edge, lifting the thumb side of your palm. So let's inhale to the inner edge and exhale to the outer edge. Continue flowing with your breath, rocking your hands, waking up the wrists, the forearms, the palms, and activating and stretching these muscles that often get neglected. You should be feeling this in your forearms, in your hands, in your wrists maybe. Remember, discomfort is invited. It helps us grow, but we never want to move through pain. So if you're starting to feel pain, you can definitely stop. We're waking up our wrists right now, our hands. Come into stillness. With your toes tucked under, sit back onto your feet and bring the tops of your palms onto the mat and then just slowly sit your heels back. Giving the backs of your wrists a little stretch. Breathe. Imagine sending your breath to your wrists. Beautiful. And just walk the back of your hands so your fingers are pointing towards each other, and then walk them so that your fingers face the front of the room. See if you can walk them a little bit to the side, and then begin to walk them back towards each other. Fingers now walking back towards your knees. Flip your hands so that your palms are once again on the mat, and then walk your hands in towards each other. And then walk them back towards your knees. Begin to walk your fingers back towards each other, eventually to the front of the room, to the sides of the room, and then once again back towards your knees. Pause here, come into stillness, and see if you can sit back just a little bit, giving your wrists, your inner wrists a stretch. And breathe into your wrists. Beautiful. Sit back onto your feet and lift your hands from the earth. Give them a little bit of a shake. Point your hands up, your fingertips up towards the ceiling and imagine you're holding light bulbs. Just give your light bulbs a twist. See if you can twist them in both directions as much as you can. You can begin to lift your arms up ahead of you if this feels good. Lubricating the joints. And then lower your hands down, come through tabletop position. Find your foundation in your hands and press up and back into downward facing dog. Pedal your feet out. Have your elbows spinning to the side of the room without changing your hands. Look towards your hands and then just bend into your elbows. Do a couple push-ups here. And by a couple, I just mean a few. Follow your breath. Come into stillness, pedal your feet out. Generously bend your knees here. Look towards your hands and step or hop up towards your hands, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Shoulders come back, neck comes back, and exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, sweep your arms up and overhead. Palms together, hands down through heart center and alongside your hips. We're going to find our foundation in our feet. We strengthened our hands and our wrists today. We're going to strengthen our feet as well because our foundation is so important. I've said this before and I'll say it again. We neglect our feet so much. We just flop them around like duck feet sometimes. There are so many bones, joints, and muscles in your feet. And all of your nerve endings are in your feet. So when we neglect our feet, we're causing damage or injury or misalignment along the rest of our body. So start with your feet underneath your hip bones, not the edge of your hips, but your hip bones, which run through the center of your legs. And have them in number 11s, perfectly parallel to one another. They're not pointing out to the side or inwards, perfectly parallel. Lift your toes for a moment to feel the ball mound of your big toe plug into the earth, activating the arches of your feet, and gently relax your toes down to the ground. We're going to do the same exercise with our feet that we did with our hands. So rock to the inner edge of your feet, lifting the pinky side off the ground, and then rock to the outer edge, lifting the inner side off the ground. You can link this movement to your breath. Maybe inhaling as we rock inwards and exhaling as we rock outwards. Waking up the sides of our shins. So our ankles and our wrists actually don't have any muscles of their own. They are muscles from the hands that are connected to the forearm, and likewise there are muscles from our feet connected to our shins. And when we rock to the inner edge, we're activating a part of our muscles we're not used to, and same when we rock to the outer edge. So what we're doing is really toning these muscles that help us align our foundation. So this way, when you're walking, your knees don't have to collapse inwards because you're leaning too much on your inner edge of your feet, and your knees don't splay outwards because you're leaning too much on the outer edge of your feet. You're able to correct. We have to tone those muscles to be able to practice that. Come into stillness in your feet. Take a moment just to lift up onto the ball mounds of your toes. We're going to do this 15 times. If you need to, hold onto a wall here. Inhale up, exhale down. Follow your breath. Move slower than you want to. This takes strength and balance of the calves, of the feet. Draw your tailbone down towards the earth, activating your core. I lost count, so let's just go for 7 more. It's okay if you feel wobbly. We're toning and strengthening. It's not about being perfect already. Let's do 3 more. Beautiful. In your mountain pose, draw your tailbone down, bring your shoulders up and back, and shoulder blades together helps your palms flip open to the sides of the room. Reduce the curve in your low back by drawing your tailbone down towards the earth and activating your core. Draw your neck back and breathe. Bend into your knees and inhale, scoop your arms up. Reach, exhale, give yourself a little bit of a back bend. Inhale straight. Exhale, sit into a chair, an imaginary chair, leaving your arms exactly where they are. Draw your tailbone down towards the earth. This is your chair pose. Can you bring your shoulder blades more onto your back, bringing your biceps up by your ears? Maybe soften, give yourself a smile. We're going to do 15 pulses here. See if you can lower with every pulse and come back to the height that you're currently at. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift your toes if you need to. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 more. Slower than you want to, come up. Bring your hands to touch. Palms down together through heart center and alongside your hips. Beautiful. Bend into your knees, scoop your arms up. Inhale, exhale, give yourself a back bend. Inhale straight. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and step back into a high plank position. If you need to, you can lower your knees here. Tuck your elbows into your side. Lower down, chaturanga. Untuck your toes. Press into the tops of your feet. Press into your hands. Upward facing dog or cobra. Curl over your toes and back into downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet and breathe here for a moment. Look towards your hands. Step or hop to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands and step back into a high plank. Drop your knees if you need to. Tuck your elbows into your sides. Lower down, chaturanga. Untuck your toes. Press into your hands, giving yourself a little back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. Curl over your toes and back into downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. We're gonna do some donkey kicks. This is a little tricky. So from where you are, make sure your elbows are pointing towards the sides of the room. Look up towards your hands and give yourself a bit of a bend into your elbows. Kick your feet up towards your butt. I can't do this on my mats because they're slipping a little bit, so I'm just going to move these. Do this 10 times. These are your donkey kicks. You're going to hear some thudding. Hopefully you don't have neighbors underneath you. Beautiful. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Forward fold. Let your torso hang. Have a micro bend in your knees. The more you bend into your knees, the more your torso can hang. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold. Hang here for a moment. Maybe grab your elbows and sway from side to side. Maybe nod your head yes, or shake your head no. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, sweep your arms up and overhead. Palms down through heart center and alongside your hips. Coming back to your mat if you needed to come away from it. Have your left foot point just slightly to the corner of the room, so 45-degree angle. And with your right foot exactly where it is, step forward and begin to lunge into your front leg. Maybe you cannot step that long forward, so shorten your stance if you need to. Your feet are staggered, so they're not in line with one another. Straighten your hips to the front of the room. You should be feeling this along your left psoas, your hip flexor. Lunge into your front foot as you strengthen the back of your back leg. And inhale your arms up, shoulder blades together onto your back. Spin your palms towards each other and flip your pinkies back, opening up your heart. This is your warrior 2. Draw your tailbone down, strengthen both of your legs, and breathe. Inhale, straighten your front leg. And exhale, plant your hands to frame your front foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet. Drop your knees wider than hip width apart. Bring your big toes together. Send your glutes back. Extend your arms out in front of you, child's pose. This is a resting pose, a recalibrating pose. You can sway a little bit from side to side here if you want to wake up your hips and your shoulders a bit. Or you can just rest. Press up through tabletop position. Curl your toes under and up and back into downward facing dog. Look towards your hands. Step or hop to the top of your mat and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise. Sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, palms down through heart center and alongside your hips. If you're at the top of your mat, leave your left foot where it is, right underneath your hips. And with your right foot, step back, pointing your toes at a 45-degree angle, staggering your feet. Lunge into your front foot, and as you do, strengthen the back of your right leg, feeling that stretch along the front of your right hip flexor, your psoas, and inhale your arms up, shoulder blades together onto your back, palms facing each other, and spin your pinkies back just a little bit, and breathe. If you're feeling like this is really difficult or you're not feeling this, step your front foot back a little bit. This is warrior one. One more breath here. Straighten your front leg. Fold over your front leg, plant your hands, and step back into downward facing dog. Let your heels be heavy here. Pushing into your hands, can you let your heels come to meet the earth just a bit more? Coming to a high plank position. Drop your knees if you need to. Tuck your elbows into your side, lower down, chaturanga. Untuck your toes and let the tops of your feet be heavy. From here, bring your arms out alongside you and tense your fingers right by your ears. Maybe just a foot away from your ears on both sides. Your fingers are tented like you've got cupcakes under your hands. Pressing into your hands and activating the muscles of your core, can you give yourself a little cobra push-up here? We're going to do 15 of these. So we're activating our back muscles more than we're pushing with our fingers. Our fingers are just here to guide us. 10 more. Inhale to come up and exhale to come down. It's not about speed here, it's about precision. This push-up is helping with your posture muscles. One more. Beautiful. Create a pillow for your head and windshield wiper your feet from side to side. If you are looking to one direction, look to the other direction. Continue letting your feet fall from side to side. And then come into stillness with your feet. Bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Fingers point to the front of the room. palms on the earth. Can you draw your shoulder blades together, opening up your collarbones, your chest, your heart, and draw your neck back so your gaze is in line with your heart. This is your Sphinx pose. Can you breathe into your chest cavity, helping it expand and soften? Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press up and come to sit on your heels. Touch your fingers ahead of you. Tuck your toes under and see if you can lift your glutes off of your heels a bit as you extend your arms out further in front of you. Puppy dog pose. Melt your heart to the earth. From here you can sway side to side very slowly, feeling the different parts of your back. Always remembering your breath. Can you draw your shoulder blades together even more so your heart can melt even more forward? Come up through tabletop position. Curl your toes under and press up and back into downward facing dog. Step or hop to the top of your mat and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise. Sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale your palms down through heart center and alongside your hips. Turn to face the long edge of your mat. And step your feet wider than hip width apart. Toes pointing to the sides of the room. Sorry, not to the sides of the room, to the corners of the room. So they're on a 45-degree angle. Lift your toes for a moment so you can feel the arches of your feet engage, and gently lower your toes down, maintaining that arch engagement. Draw your tailbone down, activate your core, and begin to sit into your goddess pose. As you do, your arms come up like goalposts. Bring your shoulder blades together onto your back. Your toes can stay lifted here if you like the engagement that reminds you to keep. Palms face each other and pinkies begin to spin back, opening up through your heart center. Breathe here for a count of 5. Can you just hold the pose? When life asks you to be still, to be soft, to be strong, can you hold the pose? In this position, we're going to pulse here for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold the pose for 5. Let your belly inflate with air. Tailbones drawing down. And then come to stand for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Arms come up, palms together, hands through heart center and alongside your hips. Point your toes inwards towards each other, just slightly inwards of your heels. Bend into your knees. Bring your hands, interlace them together behind you. And with your knees bent, begin to fold forward. And maybe your arms start coming back behind you more, letting gravity assist you melt towards the earth. Give your arms a little bit of a squeeze onto your back. And let gravity try to help them down a bit as you squeeze them. Always remember your breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands to your hips and exhale, come to a full stand. Inhale. Interlace your hands together in the opposite direction. So if your left thumb was on top, make sure your right thumb is on top this time. Squeeze your shoulders together and exhale, begin to fold towards the earth. Soft bend in your knees, breathe here. As you squeeze your shoulder blades together, can you let gravity help assist drawing your arms towards the earth? Inhale, halfway lift. Arms to your hips and exhale to come to stand. Breathe at the top. Shift your heels inwards once. So your toes are once again pointing to a 45-degree angle to the corners of the room. And exhale, squat into your legs. Maybe bring your feet closer together if you need to, so that your elbows can eventually reach the inside of your knees. This is your Malasana squat. Breathe here. I know this is a tough class today. Can you be aware that you are capable of trying tough things? Doesn't mean you have to be able to do them right away. Bring your hands to the earth, press into your hands, and come up to stand. Face the top of your mat. Feet in number 11s underneath your hips. Bend into your knees, inhale. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and sit back into a downward facing dog. Draw your heels towards the earth. Breathe here for a moment. And then drop your knees so you're in a tabletop position. We're going to be trying pendant pose, which is the apex pose we've been working up to for this class. And this pose is tricky. I can't really do it. If you can, you're awesome. And if you can't, you're still awesome. So just give it a try. You don't have to be able to do the pose. The point is that we're trying. Find your foundation in your hands here. And actually just come up so that you're on your toes, sort of in a squat position. Find your hands in your mat. Once again, the inner lining of your hands comes to about the outer edge of your shoulders. Plug down through the four corners of your hands. Bring your arms to the inner edge, or to the inner side of your thighs. And bend your elbows. As you do, begin to try and rest your knees on the back of your tricep, so your upper arm, and see if you can balance. Try just shifting your weight into your arms and eventually see if you can lift your feet off the ground. That might not be this class. This is your pendant pose. The point is that we try. Make sure your wrist creases are pointed forward and that you're equally weighted in the four corners of your palms. Give that one more try. And then come to sit on your thighs, on your feet. So your toes, the tops of your feet can be resting on the earth here. You're not sitting on your curled toes. We've done a lot with our arms and our wrists today, so we're going to give our wrists some love. From here, point your fingers up towards the earth like you're holding the ceiling, like you're holding light bulbs. And just start twisting your wrists. This is harder, and though it doesn't look that much harder, extending your arms above your head and doing the same thing helps with more drainage and wakes up and lubricates our joints. So let the whole rotation of your wrist go all the way through your arm, even into your shoulder. Twist those light bulbs back and forth. I don't know if you can hear that, but my shoulder is cracking. I'm giving it some much needed love. Your arms and wrists might be getting tired here. You're doing great. It's awesome. Keep going. No one's arms have ever fallen off from doing this. And then bring your arms down. Give them a bit of a shake. Give your hands a shake. Maybe your shoulders. And then, actually just from the position you're in on your knees here, come through tabletop position. Take your left arm and weave it underneath your right arm. Begin to bring your shoulder towards the mat. Rest your left ear on the mat. And as you do, press into your right hand, helping you twist just a little bit more. Breathe here. Press into your right hand. Unweave your left arm so you're back in tabletop position. And then take your right arm and weave it underneath your left arm. Press into your left hand, giving you a little bit of assist into this twist. Stretching out the backs of your shoulders, your upper and mid back. And just breathe here, soften. Press into your left hand, Come back through tabletop position. Sit back onto your glutes. Legs come out in front of you. And then just lay back. Knees are tented. Bring your feet about as wide as, or just wider than hip width apart. And tent your knees in towards each other. And then just let them fall from side to side. Your upper body stays heavy. Don't let one shoulder lift off when you go from side to side. Maybe that means your knees are not going as far. Come into stillness. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall to the sides of the room. This is your Baddha Konasana, your Supta Baddha Konasana, which is your reclined butterfly pose. You can bring your hands underneath your head and use your thumbs to give your neck a little bit of a neck massage here. Let your thighs be heavy, opening up. Extend your legs out in front of you. Make them wider than hip width apart. Let your toes fall to the sides of the room. Find where you want to keep your arms. So your shoulder blades tucked together onto your back just a little bit more. You can keep your arms out alongside you. You can bring them alongside your hips, palms facing open towards the ceiling. Or you can find a place along your body. Maybe your hands feel good on your hips, on your belly, on your heart. Find what feels good for you, what feels right for you today. For me, I feel right with my left hand on my lower belly and my right hand on my heart center. You are so powerful, so strong, with so much potential, so many abilities underneath the surface waiting to come out. Can you witness your power, the power that it takes to sometimes rest when you need it, when you're inclined to go, 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 and the power it takes to go when you feel you need rest or have been stuck in a resting position. Sometimes in life, exactly what we need is the opposite of what's easy. Sometimes it takes strength and it takes effort to do the hard thing. Sometimes the hard thing is slowing down and stopping. And sometimes it's pushing through and getting moving. Can you make a pact with yourself to always be willing to do the hard thing, the thing that's going to benefit you the most? With the utmost love for yourself. Sometimes things seem really hard just because we're dreading it. Our mind can make something into something that it's not. Practice getting out of your mind and into your body. What does your body feel like right now? What sensations do you feel? What does it ask of you? What does your body need of you today? Can you take a minute to honor those things? Inquire with your needs and answer them. Take this moment to inquire with your body. Feel whatever it is you feel, even if right now that's not very much. Can you just feel it? When you're ready, begin to find some movement in your fingers and toes, in your hands and your feet, wrists and ankles. Bring your feet together and bring your hands together overhead. Give yourself a stretch. And then roll over onto your right side. Using your bicep as a pillow, rest for a moment. Then gently press into your hands and come up to a seated position. Find your foundation and bring your hands together at heart center. Press into your hands as you press your shoulder blades together, opening your heart up. Take a moment to bow into your heart and thank yourself again for coming today. You can never send yourself enough gratitude for the work that you do for yourself. Always be grateful. Thank you so much for coming. The light in me bows to and acknowledges the light and shadow in each of you. Namaste.